Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Edmonton. My name is Jeff Bisanz. My pronouns are he, his, and him, among others. And I have the privilege of being your service leader this morning. I'll be joined shortly by our minister, Reverend Rosemary Morrison, who just went out to get her sermon. We hope that you in the sanctuary, you who are visiting, and you online, and you watching at some future time on YouTube, we hope that all of you feel welcome. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify, you're welcome here. I should note that for those of you who are new here, that this church is one of two Unitarian Universalist churches in Edmonton, the other one being the Westwood Unitarian Congregation in the Park Allen neighborhood. We're grateful to all the volunteers who make the service possible. The list includes the greeters and ushers here in the sanctuary, all the people who work to deliver the service online, and those who created the service with words and images and music. And as just a side personal note, I can't remember if someone has done this before, but on most Sundays, the background stuff we get on the screen is by Doug Eastwell. He spends hours digging up images, and I think he does a terrific job. So if you see Doug, yeah, really, I mean, he does a fantastic job. I hope you're online, Doug, to hear that. As for cell phones, please do what you can to convince them to be quiet for the next 75 minutes. Now, to get the service off to a rousing start, let's have some announcements. Karen, would you like to start?
Good morning, everyone. My name's Karen Belita. My pronouns are she and her. I just want, we have the fairly newly running communications committee again, and we would like everyone to take pictures. You don't need a fancy camera. These are fancy cameras now. Phones, it's amazing what they can do. Well, which brings me another thing. I got this case at our lovely garage sale last year, so it's amazing the things you can do here. But if you take a picture of something that you see that seems interesting, or a special event around here, or you're out with the walking group, please send it to Janet. Her email's in the newsletter. Thanks.
Anyone else with an announcement? Okay, Rosemary?
Good morning. How are you, everyone, this morning? You're looking pretty good for this Valentine's Day. I'd like to, first of all, tell you who I am. My name is Reverend Rosemary Morrison. My pronouns are she and her, and I am your minister. So I'm the minister here at the Unitarian Church of Edmonton, and happy to be so. I have a few things I want to say. First, happy Valentine's Day yesterday. My heart is full of love for you all, and I know that we are have a really loving community here, so it's a wonderful place to be near Valentine's Day. There are a whole bunch of things going on, and after the service today, Reverend Brian Kiley, our former minister, and our minister emeritus, is going to be leading us into a deep dive into our Unitarian Universalist principles. There's a lot in them, and just reading them and trying to memorize them, which I haven't done, is like very surface. There's so much wisdom there. So please join Brian. If you haven't signed up, that's okay. They'll be meeting in the boardroom. Go past the washrooms, and it's the last door on the right before it goes around. Next week is the UU's on Tap on Wednesday at 3 Vikings over on 124th. There's going to be, there's a few of us organizing a goods and services auction at the end of our stewardship campaign. It'll be a spaghetti dinner and a lot of fun, and hoping to kind of close out our stewardship campaign with a bit of a whoop up. A whoop up, right. the 28th of March, the last Saturday of the month. And what I need from you all is to be thinking about what you can offer. So it could be things that you knit, things that you make, things, jams, jellies, canned goods. It could be, what really works well is like if you say, I will put on a dinner for 6 with this theme. Could be a murder mystery, or it could be drinks on your deck, alcohol or otherwise. So it could be, there's so many things you could offer that would help raise money for the congregation. Karen Mills has asked me to remind you that after the service next week, the strategic plan, the governance advisory team wants to get your input on the strategic plan. The information is in the weekly newsletter, and if you didn't see it, please go back and have a look. So there's lots of really good information there. So the only other things that it tells me here that I have written is to stand up straight, don't sway, smile into the camera. So glad you're all here online, and welcome to everyone here in person and online.
Thank you, Rosemary. Is there one more announcement? Just Rosemary.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Peggy Morton, and I'm here on behalf of the Edmonton-Cuba Solidarity Committee. I think that a lot of you have probably been to Cuba and enjoyed not only the beaches, but the people of Cuba, the lovely care that they take for tourists. And Cuba right now is facing what can only be called a genocidal attack by the U.S. The blockade of all oil and the threats to every country and the stopping of oil shipments means that everything from healthcare, education, the water system, fuel, everything is put at risk by this. So really, Cuba, I think as you know, is a country, a tiny island that has offered its humanitarian assistance everywhere where it's needed. And now it's time for us to step up as never before to offer the concrete assistance that we can. So one thing that I'm asking people to do is to participate in our project to send generators to Cuba. These are generators, small power stations, which can be used either for AC power or, either way. And the first shipment of these is going to be going next week on the 21st. So I have the information here. I'd like to give it to you all after the service, anybody who's interested. And we really think that this is a very important and concrete way in which we can help Cubans have a little normality in their lives. We've had a tremendous response so far, and so I'm hoping that you're going to add to that today. We're also having a rally next Saturday, and everyone is welcome to come and to tell your friends. It's going to be at the Crisscross at 83rd Avenue and 104th Street at 1 o'clock next Saturday, and it's part of a National Day of Action, so people are going to be coming out all across the country. So, our whole idea is that we're taking the lead in providing that concrete support, but we're also calling on our government because it's really been shameful. They haven't said a word against the U.S. blockade, and instead, they've told people don't go to Cuba. And instead of doing what other countries are doing, which is making arrangements with other islands to refuel the planes so that tourists can continue to go to Cuba, which is very, very important for their economy and to provide their health care and so on. They have, Audrey's telling me to wrap it up. I can talk to anybody after the service about any of those concrete things that are being done. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Peggy. Okay, Rosemary, did you have one more thing you wanted to talk about? Okay. We gather with gratitude this morning on Treaty 6 territory and in Region 6 of the Métis Nation of Alberta. We recognize that a treaty is an inheritance, a responsibility, and a relationship. May this recognition help us be good neighbors to one another, good stewards to our planet, and good ancestors to all our children. As many of you know, the theme for this month's service is resilience. The theme Reverend Rosemary selected for today is bouncing back, handling the curveballs of life. One could say that the indigenous peoples of this land have experienced more than a few curveballs. If you can imagine referring to stealing their land, intentional poisoning, residential schools, and a whole cast of legal and economic barriers as curveballs. When it comes to resilience, we have to look no further than our indigenous partners to find extraordinary models for how to survive and how to thrive. You all know this. Enough said. So, our next step is the Prelude. Gordon? Thank you for that meditative piece, Gordon, and thank you again and again. I'd like to invite Rosemary Manning to come to the front to light the chalice. Oh, sorry. Rosemary. Falconer, yes. I read to you a piece selected by Reverend Rosemary entitled Joy and Power That Grows by Jami Yandle. We light this chalice for the quiet truths we carry, and for the futures we're brave enough to write. In this circle, we honor the courage it takes to live openly, the softness that sustains us, and the joy and power that grow when we gather. As the chalice glows, may we feel steadiness rise in us. May we trust that our becoming, messy, radiant, and unfolding, wholly belongs to us. Thank you, Rosemary. Our first hymn this morning is Come, Come, Whoever You Are, number 188 in the gray hymnal. The words will appear on the screen behind me. Please rise as you are willing and able to sing Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Courage. I Am Courage by Susan Verde and illustrations by Peter Reynolds. Now they have done a whole series of books on different parts of life, I guess, and they have written this little book. I guess I don't need to show you the picture, do I? Maybe if we could get some of the lights out, we might be able to see that better, especially the big center lights out. Thank you. Excellent. So I took out 8 books on resilience in the library, and this one won. I Am Courage, a book of resilience. And she puts, to my hero Gabe, who is never afraid to fall down and get up again. You are courage. When there are challenges in front of me, when I feel unstable, like I might fall, and I think about giving up or turning back, when my mind tells me I can't, I look inside myself and find the strength that lives deep down. And I tell my mind, yes, I can. This is a remarkable little kid, and I think what she's done is kind of personify all the different things that you can come up against into this child as a symbol. Because if this was actually a real kid, you'd be like, whoa, this kid is like Einstein or something. I have faith in what's possible. I accept the challenge and keep on going. I move ahead, one breath at a time. I act with bravery. I am courage. I can trust what my gut is telling me. I believe in myself. Now, I just want to say one thing about our gut, our instincts, before I move on. And that is, the more that we trust it, the more that we begin to listen to it, the stronger it becomes. And then as we listen to it even more, it can guide us in really remarkable ways. The people, the younger set with her out into the activities that you've prepared for them, and they'll go at this time. You know, I was just saying to Ambrose this morning, wouldn't it be nice if we sang them out? So let's do that. Go now in peace, Go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. I forgot the words, sorry. It's been a long time. We'll probably be bringing that back.
Thank you. Our church community is entirely self-governing and self-supporting. One of the responsibilities of our free church tradition is that we provide all the financial support for the work of our church. The ushers will begin collecting. As most of you know, we also make a monthly contribution beyond our walls. 1/2 of the unidentified cash is given to an outside organization. For the month of February, that organization is the Canadian Unitarian Council. The CUC is a national organization of Unitarian Universalist member congregations and individuals, acting to enhance, nurture, and promote the Unitarian Universalist religion in Canada. Last week, Susan Rattan described the CUC as supporting the ecosystem of Unitarian Universalists across Canada. Thank you. Our next hymn is Just As Long As I Have Breath, number 6 in the gray hymnal. The words will appear on the screen behind me. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing Just As Long As I Have Breath.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, the theme of the month is resilience. One definition is that resilience is the ability to recover or adjust easily to misfortune or change. The English word comes from the Latin word that means to jump back or to recoil. I'm sure that we all agree that resilience is a good thing, and that we should do all we can to build resilience, our resilience, to daily stresses and difficulties. But I want to raise two yellow flags. First, we often talk about resilience as a characteristic of the individual. Indeed, last week we heard about Buddhist methods for building resilience, methods that help us as individuals counter inevitable suffering and pain by dealing with issues internal to ourselves. I know there's a lot of wisdom in this approach, and one needs a great deal of self-knowledge and self-discipline to make it work. But I've always had a negative gut reaction. That wasn't planned. When I read about any approaches that places the burden of relieving suffering on the sufferers. Suffering is often caused by external forces, some of which stem from systemic features that humans create. Poverty, for example. If we want to help children be resilient to the negative impacts of poverty, we help them by supporting them with good nutrition, good childcare, good education, good health services, dare I say, good government, and so on. In doing so, we are trying to fix some of the structural features of our society that can cause suffering in the first place. These fixes do not happen by just having individuals looking within themselves. The second flag has to do with the concept of resilience itself. Resilience is about bouncing back to where we were before we encountered the stressful event. Sometimes, though, we might not want to get back to where we were before. Instead, when stressed, we might want to bounce into a better place. I was reminded of this yesterday at the Sing for Love concert held at Robertson Wesley United Church. The concert was intended to be a show of love and support for Alberta's gender-diverse community. Proceeds went to support the Firefly Institute for Gender and Sexual Diversity. Members of choirs all over Edmonton were invited to join, and some from Chalice participated. The church was packed, and the sound produced by, maybe 150 singers was incredibly powerful. But the overwhelming feeling for over 2 hours was that of joy. A lot of people in that space were gay, lesbian, trans, queer, whatever. No doubt many of them spend a good part of their lives worried about their mental and physical health and well-being. But in this space, there was nothing but support, enthusiasm, and joy. We could look at that scene yesterday and say that in the face of all sorts of pressures and stresses, they were showing and building resilience. But if resilience means bouncing back, they were doing more than bouncing back. They were bouncing to a new place. And it was clear to me that they will, in time, bring the rest of our broad community along with them. So, despite my initial negative gut reaction when I hear the word resilience is a good thing. But we want to think about how to build it not just in ourselves, but also in our children, our communities, indeed in our earth, as we will learn from a Bruno Mars song in a moment, in our friends. It's yours.
Yeah, how could you not, right? It's a great song. First time I heard it, I went, ooh. So I have a reading from the American Psychology Association, but first of all, I'd like to acknowledge your service leader reflection. I couldn't agree more with all of the things that you said. Thank you. Well done. So this is an article from January 1st, 2012, was updated in 2020, and it's called building your resilience. And it says, we all face trauma, adversity, and other stresses. Here's a roadmap for adapting to life-changing situations, emerging even stronger than before. Imagine you're on a raft trip on a river. Along with slow water and shallows, your map shows that you will encounter unavoidable rapids and turns. How would you make sure that you can safely cross the rough waters and handle any unexpected problems that come from the challenge? Perhaps you would enlist the support of more experienced rafters as you plan your route, or rely on the companionship of trusted friends along the way. Maybe you would pack an extra life jacket or consider using a stronger raft. With the right tools and supports in place, one thing is sure. You will not only make it through the challenges of your river adventure, you will also emerge a more confident and courageous rafter. Life may not come with a map, but everyone will experience twists and turns, from everyday challenges to traumatic events with more lasting impact, like the death of a loved one, a life-altering accident, or a serious illness. Each change affects people differently, bringing a unique flood of thoughts, strong emotions, and uncertainty. Yet people generally adapt well over time to life-changing situations and stressful situations, in part thanks to resilience. So psychologists define resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress, such as family and relationship problems, serious health problems, or workplace and financial stressors. As much as resilience involves bouncing back from these difficult experiences, it can also involve profound personal growth. Did we talk before? No. But this always happens. The service leader reflection and my message often go hand in glove. It's really remarkable and wonderful. And that's why I don't like to read the service leader reflections or give any instructions, so that this amazing thing can just happen. Well, these adverse events, much like rough river waters, are certainly painful and difficult. They don't have to determine the outcome of our lives. There are many aspects of your life that you can control, modify, and grow with. That's the role of resilience. Becoming more resilient not only helps you get through difficult circumstances, it also empowers you to grow and even improve your life along the way. So that's the end of the quote that was partly their words and partly my words, and adapted along the way. But of course, being resilient doesn't mean we aren't going to come across difficulties and struggles in our lives. In fact, if handled in a healthy way, difficulties can create resilience within us. Resilience isn't something that only a chosen few can accomplish. Resilience is something everyone can learn. There are so many skills we can learn, aren't there? I remember in my first leadership class in seminary, there was a big sign on the whiteboard at the front: leadership skills are learned, not given. I went, oh, that's awesome, because I don't know what the heck I'm doing up here. I mean, had been doing some leadership. I was a Brownie leader and had, worked here and there in social health, social worker, mental health worker, like lots of leadership stuff. Did recruiting, but hokey smoky. The idea of becoming a minister and needing these much more deep leadership skills, I was so relieved to know that I could actually learn them that I didn't have to come into ministry already having them. And that's the same with resilience, isn't it? We can learn these things, and there's a million different skills that we can learn. So instead of just reading about it, we can actually have to get through some hard knocks and get through them to build resilience. It is one thing, however, to have the odd adversity come at us. It's easy to handle, but people like the folks in Cuba or Minnesota, all over the world where things are coming at people in a really fast way. So sometimes life decides to send its strings and arrows at our heads in rapid succession. Then what do we do? I don't have a really good answer for that. And I've recently been through a season of my life when things have been coming at me a little bit too quickly, over and over, until I felt kind of, I don't know, a little dysregulated perhaps, and a little downtrodden. What I have discovered, and the literature backs me up, is that having healthy routines was key. Let's try a little experiment, shall we? I'm going to move around a little bit. Camera person. So, I'm going to throw you a balloon. I want you to keep it in the air. Don't let it go on the ground, please. And also don't catch it. It's kind of easy if there's just one, isn't there? Oh, it's not so easy. But what if there's more? Got to keep them up in the air. What if there's even more? And how about more? We're not done. You're almost there. All right. Okay, let's get them all in play for the photo shoot, shall we? Okay, get them all up in the air for the photo shoot, even if you just have to. Okay. All right. Great, people are standing, that's awesome. Okay, you get the point, I think. You can put the balloons under your chairs. I'll gather them later and I will dispose of them safely. So the point I just illustrated is that when things come at us too fast, we simply can't handle it and things fall to the ground, right? My granny had a saying, you will fall to the ground between two stools. And I never really knew what that meant, but I think we can see that now. So we become dysregulated. And just when we need to be doing the things that keep us healthy, we let it all go. At least I do. So to help us build our resilience and repair muscles, I actually like to call it, when we are having difficulty with someone and we work through it, I call that building our repair muscles. It strengthens us. So the experts tell us that we need to, like this whole long list of things that we're supposed to do, right? Eat healthy. Get exercise every day. Get some fresh air every day. Sleep 8 hours at night. Have, like on and on and on. Take vitamin D every day, especially people in the north. I mean, don't smoke, don't drink, like, don't have fun, Audrey says. Right? Right? Limit your sugar intake. I mean, the list is just too long, right? There's too many balloons to manage. I personally fell short, especially I don't get enough exercise. And it seems like when things are going really great, when I only have like one little tiny balloon in the air, and I can manage that, I add a fitness routine. Great, I have a gym pass. But as soon as there's any adversity, what goes first? I find myself eating cheese and crackers for dinner. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not getting to the pool. Like on and on. These things just fall. And so then it compounds, doesn't it? So we don't take care of ourselves, and then we become more dysregulated, and then we can't handle the things that are coming at us, even with less skill, right? It's pretty backwards, but it is life. From the American Psychology Association. The ability to learn resilience is one reason research has shown that resilience is ordinary, not extraordinary. Like building a muscle, increasing your resilience takes time and intentionality. Focusing on 4 components, not the big long list that I gave you. This is actually doable. Connection, wellness, we can define that however we like. Healthy thinking, and finding meaning in our lives can empower you to withstand and learn from difficult and traumatic experiences. That's the end of that little quote. The American Psychology Association should suggest that having healthy connections and relationships is of paramount importance to being resilient and being connected. So that's something that I learned not too long ago, or probably I read anyway not too long ago, that one of the indicators of having a long life is your relationships, your connection and community. It's not, genetics, and then being connected. Simply being part of a loving community like ours will help you build resilience. They are pretty clear in the research says you really do need to take care of your bodies the best you can. However, it's being connected, having a purpose, having set goals, meeting some of your goals, and keeping a positive outlook is what is even more impactful. It is equally important that when things get rough, when you're trying to keep too many balloons in the air, that you find someone to help you. You could talk to a trusted friend, a mental health professional, your doctor, your counselor, or your minister. That's me. A spiritual can help. A spiritual director can help. You could try journaling, meditating, or other spiritual practices. I think joining Soul Matters, shout out to Soul Matters, would help a lot too. Or even being part of a team or task force here, or at another nonprofit or some place that you care about that holds your values. Mostly, if you're going through a rough time, do not go it alone. Former president of the UUA, Susan Frederick Gray, often said, this is no time to go it alone. We need one another. You are part of a loving community. We have an excellent pastoral care team. I am here for you to the best of my ability. And I know that there is a tremendous amount of wisdom and kindness and love in this community that you can lean on. One of the ways it is suggested we build resiliency is to have a grounded spiritual practice. So let's try one now. There is a tried and true spiritual practice that we enter into every single week, a time of meditation and contemplation. As we enter into that time of meditation and contemplation, I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths and give yourself a couple of wiggles and get the balloon bouncing out of your system. And as we enter into this time, may we all be well and may we all flourish. Amen. So I invite you to take another couple deep breaths with me. In and out. Just soften your gaze or close your eyes if you like, whatever is comfortable for you. To feel the chair holding you, and if you can, to feel the love in this room holding you. There is a love that will not let us go. Sink into the chair. Put your feet on the floor if you like. Let gravity hold you. Let the chair hold you. Going to read a poem by Rosemary Morrison, my new favorite poet. It is timely for this time of disturbing news and heartbreak. And as we head into this time of meditation, let's take a moment now to remember the folks of Tumbler Ridge that are suffering great loss, great trauma. A small community having such a huge loss, huge trauma. Hold them in your hearts as we enter into a moment of silence. And then one day, while I read aloud to my husband the news and felt the widening hole in my heart, he raised his hand to quiet me. I followed his gaze out the window to see in the yard a small, fluffy thing with black and white eye spots on its head. A northern pygmy owl beside our door, stout, body slightly smaller than my fist. It turned its head a full half circle to look at me with bright yellow eyes. In an instant, I shifted from disgust with the world to awe. Awe for this fierce, bespeckled miracle, this wonder of feather and beak and claw, this small being in the grass looking back at me as if to say, here is also the news. How surprising the world can be, how quickly when I let it. Amazement overwrites my fear and makes of the hole in my heart a home. A few moments of silence. And then, one day, while I read aloud to my husband the news and felt the widening hole in my heart, he raised his hand to quiet me. I followed his gaze out the window to see in the yard a small, fluffy thing with black and white eye spots on its head, a northern pygmy owl beside our door. Stout, body slightly smaller than my fist. It turned its neck a full half circle to look at me with bright yellow eyes. In an instant, I shifted from disgust with the world to awe. Awe for this fierce, bespeckled miracle, this wonder of feather and beak and claw, this small being in the grass, looking back at me as if to say, here is also the news. Here is also the news. How surprising the world can be. How quickly, when I let it, amazement overwrites my fear and makes of the hole in my heart a home. Let's enjoy a moment of silence together, and then Gordon will bring us out of silence with the hymn. There is more love somewhere. Please stay seated. Life is all the things, isn't it? Love, peace, hope, joy, disappointment, celebrations, heartbreak. And that is why we come together to share our lives, to share these moments in our life, to share with one another that we are human, that we have love to share, and we have community to share it in. We have 2 candle stations this morning. If you wish to speak to your candle, I invite you to use this station. You can use this station if you don't want to speak as well, but if you do, I invite you to use this station, and there is a microphone there if you would like to briefly share what is in your heart and what you are lighting your candle for. If you know you don't want to speak, you could use this side, and that will work the best. So the tables are ready. I invite you to light a candle of joy or concern.
speak. I spoke.
Okay. We'd like to light a candle for Cuba, and I'm adding Gaza and Ukraine and all the other places in the world where innocent families are being treated to violence, not of their own choosing, and are showing incredible, incredible resilience.
I love to speak while Gordon is playing, so he's just going to keep playing. And it just makes my heart really happy. I'll invite Jeff to light the last candle of all those spoken, unspoken, unlit joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts. Thank you. And as we close this service, I'd like you to remember the folks in Tumblr, folks in Gaza and around the world where so much injustice is happening. And something I forgot to do is to ask you to greet your neighbors. And so the thing, but probably we should take a time check. What time is it? I don't know. Pardon me? 35? Yeah, okay. Next week. We'll do it. And our closing hymn this morning is 1014, Answering the Call of Love. So the words have been changed, and I know that they've been changed on the screen, but you might know it as something different. But please rise in body and or in spirit and sing our closing hymn.
Oh
Now, for change of pace, I'd like to invite Rosemary Falconer to come to the front and extinguish the flame in the chalice. And I'd like to make a personal note. I'd like to thank Rosemary for, not everyone knows all the incredible, how much volunteer work she provides to this congregation and to her community. So thank you, Rosemary. As she extinguishes the flame, I'll read Joy Does Not Vanish by Reverend Michelle Collins. Joy does not vanish with the flame. It smolders in laughter, in touch, and in the shared breath of those still trying. Carry that brightness into the week ahead. Thank you, Rosemary.
I've never been anywhere where there's so many Rosemarys. Like, very rarely run into another Rosemary, and there's 3 of us here. Plus, the poem was by a Rosemary, but she spells her name a little differently. I'd like to thank everyone that is here in person and who has joined us online today and in the future on YouTube. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in the creating of this service, in making it go, making it run smoothly. It takes a lot of hands, and I certainly can't do it by myself. Thank you to Jeff for service leading and Gordon for providing the beautiful music, and our tech team. Those are just some of the people that work to make these services possible. Lots of people behind the scenes. Doug Eastwell, as Jeff mentioned. So I'd like to offer you these words of benediction as you go into your week. May they sustain you and hold you until you can be back into this loving community once again. A holy and generous love. Go in hope, for the arc of the universe is long, and together we can bend it toward justice. And go in courage, for together we have the strength to confront injustice in our daily lives and the larger world, and go in love, for a holy and generous love is both the reason and the means by which we transform our world. Go in peace, gentle people. Go in peace. Amen. And let us sing our linking song, Carry the Flame. And then don't forget, if you're going to Brian's workshop, it is in the boardroom.